Check this out. I hurt my leg playing rugby a few years ago. Here's my leg x-ray. Not too bad, right? Here's the side view. Ugh. Hi, my name's Dan. You can find out more information about me in the descriptions box below. But right now I want to talk to you athletes about dealing with injury. So a good friend of mine just had ACL reconstruction surgery, and he got in touch with me to ask for a little bit of advice on mentally approaching his recovery, because the doctors told him that was going to be the hardest part of his recovery. So injuries are a pretty common part of sport, whether they're big injuries or small injuries. Any athlete that gets injured will tell you that they want to get back to full fitness as quickly and as effectively as possible. Any athlete that's been injured will admit that there are really difficult days and really tough days in that road to recovery. So how you mentally deal with your injury situation and your recovery is really, really important, and it really plays a big role in deciding how quickly you come back and how well you come back from your injury back into full fitness. So there are three main ways that you deal with an injury. First, you've got your thoughts and beliefs about that injury situation. Then you've got your emotions, so how you feel about your injury, how you feel about things. And thirdly, you've got your actions, so what you actually do about it. And these three things interact with each other, and over time, they influence how well you recover and how quickly you return to sport. So, for example, if you are thinking that your injury is a bit of an injustice, that you don't deserve it, that it shouldn't have happened to you, they're pretty negative thoughts, pretty negative beliefs, and they're going to lead to some negative emotions like frustration or disappointment. Those negative emotions are probably going to lead you towards the wrong actions. Okay, so maybe that's not putting in the effort and the work in your rehab. Maybe it's closing yourself off to your teammates or your coaches or your sport or your parents or your friends. And these wrong actions are going to lead to more of those negative thoughts and beliefs, which lead to more of the negative emotions, which lead to more of the wrong actions. And before you know it, you get caught in a bit of a cycle. At the end of it all, you haven't recovered as quickly as you wanted to or as effectively as you wanted to. Maybe you don't even make it all the way back to the level you were at previously. But it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be that way. If you work on your thinking and try and move past that initial disappointment of becoming injured and start looking at it as a challenge to get yourself back fit and taking ownership of that challenge, taking ownership of your recovery, you can give yourself a much more optimistic, much more functional starting ground. Can you find a silver lining in your situation? Maybe it's early in the season and you've still got plenty of matches or events that you're going to be fit in time for. Maybe you've got a great physio team or a great rehabilitation environment that's going to help the process of you getting back fit. Maybe your injury's not as bad as it could have been. I know that I broke my leg and spent 6 weeks in a cast. A friend of mine on the same rugby team had broke his leg and his foot and spent 12 weeks in a cast. So the entire time that I was out injured, the 6 weeks in the cast and then the 6 weeks afterwards, he spent all that time in a cast. So I kind of felt a little bit lucky really when I looked at the injury that I got. Just push yourself to find a way of looking at things that's going to give you cause for optimism and positivity rather than that cause for despair that we can accidentally slip into. So the right actions can help with changing your thoughts and changing your beliefs into something more positive or more functional, all right? So for example, you could be getting as much information as you can off your doctors or your physios or your nurses about what kind of physical stages your recovery is going to take, what kind of pain is that good pain that you can kind of push through versus the kind of pain that you should be worried about or should be reporting to your physiotherapist. That information is going to help with your understanding of what's going on, and it's going to help to reduce that fear of the unknown that we can get when we've got a bit of a serious injury. Don't forget to use your social support, okay? That circle of support that you've got around you, whether that's parents, whether that's friends or teammates, maybe even coaches. Use those guys that are going to help you, that are going to listen to you if you're having a bit of a tough day. Maybe it's just so you can have a little bit of a rant to mum and dad, or maybe your friends will help you to see things more kind of functionally. Maybe a coach can give you a little bit of work to do at home, or can get you involved in some other way in training or helping out in training. Just use that circle of support that you've got around you. Social support can be really, really useful when you're rehabilitating from an injury. Another good thing you can do is collect some positive reminders to help keep you mentally on track, even if you're having a bit of a tough day. That could be an athlete that you look up to that's maybe recovered from a similar or the same injury that you've currently got. Maybe you could find some quotes or some images that you really like, stick them as a screensaver on your phone. When I had a cast on my leg, I had a quote that I liked, a favorite quote, kind of written down the side of the cast in massive letters to remind me to stay positive. It sounds kind of cheesy, but things like this can really help keep you going, keep encouraging you, and help you to work hard on your road to recovery. Injuries are tough, and there's always going to be those days where you struggle or where you just want to slam all the doors. But if you can really focus on keeping yourself positive and optimistic mentally as much as you possibly can, then you're going to give yourself the best chance possible of recovering quickly and recovering well and getting back to playing your sport as soon as possible. Just takes a little bit of work. Alrighty. So look, I hope that was helpful. If any of you are dealing with an injury at the minute, or you know somebody that's dealing with an injury, comment below if you've got any questions or if you've got your own advice of how you've dealt with an injury before. I'd love to hear about it. I'm going to put up a new video on mental training every Thursday, so make sure you hit subscribe. And tweet me if you've got any questions about mental training, and I'll try and feature them in an upcoming video. I'll post my Twitter handle somewhere around here. It's at DC Sport Psych. So that's at DC Sport Psych on Twitters. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.